Thank you very much, Charlie, and once again, welcome everybody to Racing Hondas for 2025. We're getting all set for the first 15 minutes of racing action of the season after qualifying earlier on, and we'll see who can come out on top, not just overall, but in all three classes competing on this Cadwell Park circuit. Well, good afternoon, everybody who are watching on the stream and also around on the circuit as well. Scott Wood was to guide you through all the action. If you're watching on the stream and also around the circuit, you'll have heard the tones of Charlie Harmon, who was down in pit lane and the assembly area, just chatting to a few of the drivers, see how they got on. Interesting that we heard from James Allen, who said he had another car that had a drive shaft issue, but managed to hopefully get it fixed, and he's saying fingers crossed he can get it to the end and have a good run. He's going to have to do so from the back of the grid. He has been allowed to start because collectively, having done practice and qualifying, he has completed enough laps to be allowed to start at the back of the grid, so watch for him in car 224. And as Charlie said, that car being a rolling chassis just 3 weeks ago up to a fully built race car, and has even been shaken down at places like Spa and the Nürburgring in the hands of Misha Shahrudin. Forgive me if I've butchered that surname, but incredibly popular on YouTube, and takes a lot of high-performance cars around Nordschleife for other people to give them a try for various different builds and specs. So I'm sure he gave that the thumbs up and the seal of approval. He even hopefully gave James a few setup tips to get it tweaked and into the optimal range. So the race format then, 2 15-minute races coming up this afternoon, the first of which is happening very shortly as the cars make their way now out of the assembly area, as you'll be able to see on the stream, around behind the Hyundai MSV safety car. They'll bring them around to the grid, and then once they come onto the grid and lined up, they'll get the signals to go ahead on to one formation lap to get some heat into the tyres and brakes, bring the pressures up to optimal range. And once they line themselves back up onto the grid, they'll get the green flag at the back of the grid. The 5-second ball will go up, revs will rise, and then we are underway for 15 minutes and for the 2025 Racing Hondas season. So Scott Wood was here to guide you through all the action, not just this weekend, but this season. Looking forward to it. And it's a fascinating and really excellent grid of wonderfully turned out Hondas in the mix here for this weekend. Just heard a bit of disappointing information from Carl McKellar, the championship coordinator. Phil Wright, 2023 champion, the man that was supposed to be starting on the front row of the grid, allegedly has an alternator problem, which means it might well force him to miss this race. Hopefully they can get it fixed for race 2, but we are going to be -1 car from qualifying, which is Phil Wright, sadly. So he's going to start on the back foot in the championship if he's not able to make it out and has to sit out for race 2. The cars now making their way onto the grid. Just a reminder for those who weren't around for qualifying, there are 3 classes in this championship: Class A, Class B and Class C. So easy to identify. All cars are separated in those classes based on power to weight ratio. Class A has a maximum power to weight ratio cap of 240 brake horsepower if it is naturally aspirated, or 235 brake horsepower if it is supercharged. And then Class B is a maximum of 195 brake horsepower per tonne, and Class C is 176 brake horsepower per tonne. In terms of points, in terms of scoring in the championship, there's already point scorers on the board anyway, because you get points for the top 5 qualifiers in qualifying. So that means that already, technically leading the points already after the first event, after qualifying going into this race 1, is going to be Will Self, who starts on pole position both in Class A and overall in the number 34 bright red Civic EG. And then it will be Philip Wright, who still has 4 points from qualifying. Second place, Tommy Knight will have 3. Liam Collins will have 2, and Kevin Talbot will have 1. It also means that Dan Thackeray will have the Class B points lead with 5, ahead of Ryan Cunningham with 4 points. James Kembry with 3, Sam Lindner with 2, and Sammy Milan with 1. Then we'll also have Matthew Rowling leading Class C from Callum Houchin. Now the point structure for top 10 finishes, you get 15 points for a win, 12 for second, then 10, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. You also get a point for setting the fastest race lap as well on top of that. And in terms of the championship totals at the end, it is your best 14 scores. So each driver will drop their 2 worst results, and the driver with the highest final total, regardless of which class they compete in, shall be crowned overall champion. So not only could you have a chance to win, you become class champion, but you could also go ahead and possibly become the overall champion. It's a bit reminiscent of those with longer memories of the older British touring car system before they kind of simplified the class structure, where you used to get 4 classes racing as late as the late 80s. And yes, you'd have the big faster cars at the front in Class A, but you'd a couple even back in 1989 with John Cleland, a little Vauxhall Astra, won the championship in Class D because he won his class so many times consistently that he had enough points to become overall champion. Same here, that's why Ryan Cunningham, in Class C, the lowest powered of the three classes with the lowest power to weight ratio cap, won his class enough times so that, yes, he wasn't the absolute fastest car in the field, but he did score enough points and win his class enough times to not only become Class C champion, but overall title winner as well on top of that. So the cars are lining up in what is a staggered one-by-one formation, because of course it is a narrow circuit, a tight and twisty circuit, just getting the last few cars into position. And Will Self effectively is on pole position on the front row, virtually all on his own. The one person that might well benefit from that with a clear run towards Coppice is going to be the man starting fourth on the grid, which is the number 6 Honda Integra of Liam Collins. He starts on the second row of the grid, but he has a completely clear piece of road in front of him, whereas Tommy Knight, meanwhile, just in front of him in third on the grid on the second row in the blue Honda Civic EK, he will have pole sitter Will Self alongside him. So the green flag wave, which means we're going to get the race underway onto the formation laps. This is their last chance to get some proper heat and pressure into the tyres and the brakes before we get underway for 15 minutes of Racing Hondas action. And here is the grid for our first Racing Hondas race of the season. So Will Self then starts on pole position. It would have been Phil Wright alongside him, but that alternating problem means he will have to sit race 1 out. Tommy Knight then comes next on the second row of the grid alongside Liam Collins in the Honda Integra. Kevin Talbot's DC5 Honda Integra comes next alongside the Class B pole sitter, Dan Thackeray. He will be on row 3. Then it's row 4. An excellent first qualifying for his first ever competitive start for Bob Barron in the Kilted K-Swaps Civic EG. He starts in 7th place on the 4th row alongside Rick O'Connell, who starts 8th. His 1995 Honda Civic in Garage 24. Race in the top 10 sees Ryan Cunningham, the defending champion, moving up to Class B after he won the Class C title and overall last year. He's alongside James Alford on the 5th row of the grid. Row 6, it's an all Class B affair with James Kembry and Sam Linsner. Then it's Sammy Milam, who's got a lot of karting experience in the previous for Kinetic Motorsport. He starts alongside Fraser McNeil, also in part of the Kilted K-Swaps squad. Then Spencer Fortag and Trevor McCullum will come next on row 8. Row 9 is where we find Oliver Barsby. He's a bit further back than he'd like to be. That car's been updated and lightened over the winter, but that car was a pretty prominent car when it first came out towards the end of last year. But that car back in 17th, looking to try and make some progress from row 9. He's alongside the Class C pole sitter, which is Matthew Rowling. And then we have row 10, which is Adam Kruger, who's one of 2 drivers who are what we call single race entry, which means that they will not score any points. They're effectively guest drivers in the championship for this weekend. He shares the 10th row alongside Luke Crassus-Menu in his 2005 Reg Plate King by G by Luke car. Lewis Barker, who's on his 3rd engine of the weekend already, will start 21st. Hopefully it goes the distance. He's alongside Harry Greenhill on the 11th row of the grid. Then Jackson White and Duncan Holloway, followed by Callum Houcher and James Allen, who didn't set a time in qualifying, but he has done enough laps in practice and across practice and qualifying to be able to start right at the back of the grid without a time. Expect that Fast and Furious inspired black Honda Civic at the back of the field not to stay where it is in 26th position. So the Racing Hondas Championship, an 8-round event, or 8-meeting event, of course, following the time attack calendar all the way through. We start at Cadwell Park here this weekend. We're off to Donington Park at the end of May, followed by Brands Hatch in the middle of June, then to Snetterton on the old school 200 layout, which is very reminiscent of how Snetterton used to be before the 300 modifications were made. Then we have Alton Park in August, followed by Brands Hatch in September at the beginning of the month. Towards the end of the month, we go across the border to Scotland and to Knock Hill. Then we finish the season right towards the end of October, back at Snetterton on the full 300 circuit. It's going to be an exciting season, which once again has got many thankful partners and people involved. And of course, a big thank you to, of course, Tegia for playing their part. Of course, to Lucas Oil, of course, who are providing all of the ability for us to stream the entire season. A thank you to them as we get set for our first piece of racing action here at Modified Live in Cadwell Park. So Will Self, car number 34, the red Honda Civic EG on the front row of the grid on his own, will look to try and get the clear hole shot towards Coppice for the first time. The 2.187 mile Cadwell Park circuit is about to ring to the sound of Honda engines momentarily as the cars start to form up one by one. They'll stretch all the way up to the top of the hill on the exit of Barn Corners. So the cars towards the back of the field might get a good bit of a leverage as they go downhill to try and get a better start if some of the cars in front of them don't get away from the lights as quickly as they'd like to. So Will Self, pole position. No Phil Wright on the front row, so he gets a clean run towards turn 1. But of course, Tommy Knight and Liam Collins will want to try and push forwards, as will also Liam Talbot in the green DC5 Integra, and also at watch 4, the pole sitter in Class B, Dan Thackeray. So waiting for the green flag at the back of the field. Once we get that, to all calm and quiet until the VTEC kicks in. So green flag at the back, 5-second board. Stand by for action for the first time this year. Round 1 of Racing Hondas 2025 here at Cadwell Park is underway. It's a clean start as predicted on pole from Will Self. It's a good start for Tommy Knight, who slots in to second place in front of Liam Talbot and trying to get away quickly. Also, a great start for Bob Barrow. An incredible launch from what was the fourth row of the grid. He's already got past Dan Thackeray, the Class B pole sitter, and also charging up towards the back of Liam Talbot as they turn in. Talbot has a look up the inside in towards Charlie's to try and steal what would have been fourth place from Liam Collins. There's also side-by-side action further back in the top 10 as they come out of Camp Corner, out of Charlie's, up towards the Camp Straight for the first time and towards Camp Corner. It is side-by-side between two of our EG Civics. That's 22 battling away with Fraser McNeil's. 22 in the mid-pack is going to be the Rico Coddle Honda Civic, and they're going wheel-to-wheel over the base of the top 10. They funnel their way through Camp Corner. McNeil takes the outside line and holds on to the place. So 15 minutes on the clock as they turn their way out through the long right-hander of Chris Kerr, and then they'll come to one of the tightest and most technical parts and the scariest parts. And the race leader is off the road, so on the exit of Gooseneck, Will Self put 2 wheels at least onto the grass. On the exit of Gooseneck on the approach to Mansfield, top 4 are together. If you're watching around the circuit, they're going to approach you here towards the mountain, and they turn in left and right over the top of the hill. Let's see if they can catch any air, but it's going to be Will Self that leads, Knight in second place, Collins up to third. Fourth now is Talbot, and fifth is Bob Barrow. You'd never think that Bob Barrow's in his first ever competitive race. He's keeping up with the leaders. This is fantastic stuff to see from Bob, who's come across the border from Scotland with the Kilted K-Swaps team. His teammate Fraser McNeil is somewhere around the order and roughly round about the bottom of the top 10. So out of the barn corner, down the pit straight for the first time, and Will Self leads the first racing lap of the season for Racing Hondas in 2025. Self leads the way then. It should be out in second place. The timing screen hasn't come through quite properly because it's showing Kevin Talbot being the leader, but that's not correct. Have to wait and see how that shuffles its way through. Yeah, there's several transponders that aren't fully working, it seems, because there's a few cars that haven't put their timings in quite fully, but it's definitely Will Self who leads the way from Tommy Knight in second place. Then we have Liam Collins and Kevin Talbot. So we'll wait for the timing screen to reassert itself. Here, that's Sam Lintzner battling away with the 66. It's one of the Honor Motorsport cars. That's a new team for the championship. And charging along and trying to pick up a few more places, that's Fraser McNeil, who's battling away with both Rico Coddle and also the charging James Allen. Look at the black Civic, car 224, started at the back of the grid. And once they start to shuffle them through, he's already up to, it looks like, around about the base of the top 10. Now the times are starting to come in on the timing system. So Self leads the way, as we said. Knight in second, Collins third, Talbot fourth, Barron in fifth. It's still Dan Thackeray that leads the way in Class B as they turn the way out of the gooseneck. Wiggle there for the 66 of James Kembry. So he continues to pursue Sam Lintzner. They're just behind, chasing after car number 1, which is the reigning champion Ryan Cunningham in his first race now in the upgraded Honda Civic into Class B. They just wind their way out of the mountain and through the Hall Bends for the second time. Just skipping over the crest of the mountain. Watching Fraser McNeil on the stream, still under pressure from O'Connell, who was a little loose on the exit of the mountain. Now he's under threat from James Allen across the road. And Allen at the end of the first lap made it up to 13th place. He's picked off practically half the field in one go. That's some impressive stuff in that sense. Race leaders have come across the lines. We keep on watching the battle further back. And that is still Lintzner versus Kembry. Fraser McNeil under pressure now from Rico Coddle. James Allen watches on. O'Connell trying to line him up now for a move for what would be roughly round about, back again, base of the top 10. Forgive me, it's difficult to try and trick exactly where people are because I think there's several cars which the transponders aren't fully working. We'll have to try and manually insert them on the timing screen. So Will Self definitely still leads on the road, but of course we'll figure out exactly who is where in terms of positions once the timing screen starts to sort itself out. Close on for second. Liam Collins putting the pressure on through Chris Kerr on Tommy Knight. This is the second place overall and in Class B. So the blue EK Civic under pressure from the DC2 Integra. Wiggle their way through the gooseneck, down the hill towards Mansfield. This is one of the close battles here, but the harder these two fight each other, the easier it's going to be for Will Self to try and make a breakout in front. So either going to work together here or they're going to go into combat. They're out of Mansfield, down towards the complex of the mountain, past the mass of spectators down on the bank there watching. Great to see so many people here at Cadwell Park for the modified live event and watching the Racing Hondas do their thing. Will Self already twitching his way through the Hall Bends. Now it's still second and third. They've broken away a little bit from the green and blue DC5 Integra of Kevin Talbot in fourth position, and he's been kept honest by Bob Barron, who again I'm still quite staggered by the fact that it's his first ever proper competitive race or event of any kind. He hasn't done apparently any sprints or hill climbs or anything like that. Does some track driving, obviously, I'm sure, but in terms of actually racing, it's his first time doing so, and actually doing a very impressive job in the process. So Self still leads. And Knight now feeling a little bit of pressure as they come through Coppice, then through a double right hand of Charlie's. Just looking out the window, also James Kembry's going to go onto the grass. And through all of that in the background, whilst we watch the battle for second place, James Allen's picked off 3 more cars. He's passed O'Connell, McNeil and also Kembry. Now his next target is going to be Sammy Linsner. As we watch here, the scrap for second. Here comes Collins taking a peek to the inside line. Knight's got enough confidence on the racing line to hold on and keep the position. So as they turn in through the park corner right-hander at the top of the straight, there's no room through for Tommy Knight. With Chris Curve, watching the time start to slot their way back in again on the timing screen. And we'll see how much of a lap lead that Self has. It's now 3.1 seconds over Will Self, and Knight a little wide on the exit of Mansfield. This might give another opportunity for Collins to squeeze through as they come down towards the mountain section. Self with a clear gap of 3 or 4 seconds. You can see visibly if you're watching the stream that he's already hopped over the mountain. Only now they're turning to the right hand to go over the crest are both Knight and Collins. Back past the spectators past the clubhouse on the left-hand side at Cadwell Park, which is packed to the rafters. Watching them wind their way through the hall bends. And still Knight's got just about the advantage here as they turn back out through hairpin through Barn Corner. Past goes Will Self to complete another lap. It's 4 laps in the book for Will Self. And he made the statement, didn't he? If you watched any, saw any of the pre-season coverage on the website, you saw that Will Self, he was making a bold statement. He was going to go for the title this year. He's certainly going the right way about it, pushing himself in the lead at this leading spot. Okay, forgive us for any the timing table sort of twitching around a bit. It's simply just I think there's a few cars don't have fully working transponders, so they're having to insert them almost manually coming through to make them work. Possible change on for second. Collins is in the toe of Tommy Knight. He's got lining him up for a move here. Now Knight's having to go a little more defensive in the middle of the road to try and put Collins off, and he's not close enough or far enough alongside to make a move up the inside into Park Corner. So he tries again as he looks on the outside, tries to pick his way through inside the Chris Curve. But still no way through. Good defensive driving, but I can't help but feel that the more that Knight starts to really push and defend and keep Collins back, the more time he's hemorrhaging to the leader out in front. This is music for the ears of Will Self out in front in this race. Quick checking with our other class leaders once they come across the line. It's still going to be, I think, Dan Thackeray who leads Class B. So we're checking with that order once the timing tower fully updates. The second continues on. Just in the background, you saw Kevin Talbot there in the green DC5. He's pulled away a small gap to Bob Barron. The back gap between them the last time by across the line was about half a second, but he's pulled away in this first half of a lap by the looks of it. So Class B leader, it is still Dan Thackeray from Ryan Cunningham in second place, 8th overall, and then third place in class is Sam Linsner, but he's been having that battle with the 66 of Kembry. And then rounding out the top 5 is Spencer Fortag, a number 4 FN2 Honda Civic, and then Class C, it's still Matt Rowling ahead of Callum Houchin. Up the hill, through Coppice, through Charlie's for the 6th time in this race. Still 6.5 minutes to go on the clock. Tommy Knight just absorbing all of this pressure from Liam Collins. Surely he has to try and line him up for a move. He's hammering on the door saying, come on, either let me through or let me get on with it, because Will Self is escaping up the road. There were long up stuck behind you, a lot less time I've got to try and chase after him. You just feel as though that Liam Collins has got a little more pace to unlock, but he's just stuck in the wheel tracks of Tommy Knight trying to find a way through. But the blue EK Civic is one of the best looking cars in the field in my personal opinion. Really finely turned out, is refusing to budge. And here, side by side, further back on the cameras, as that battle came off the camera, it's James Allen who is coming past the number 11 of James Alford in his EK Civic, and through he goes to make a move for what is now 7th position. So keeping up, runs wide on the exit. Alford slips back through. This might also give a chance for the B-class car of Ryan Cunningham to get through, and that's a problem for Allen. I think he's pulling off the road. So I think he hesitated on the corner. Something's gone possibly a legacy of what happened in qualifying with the drive shaft, but something is not quite right with the 224 car. It's slowing as it goes through the gooseneck, and he's pulling off to the side. It's still got some kind of drive, but it's not as fast as it was, and now he's going to be under pressure from McNeil, from O'Connell, from Linsner, from Kembry, and from Fortag, and the rest. They're all going to come pouring through, and so sadly it looks as though the rather sick looking and possibly sick sounding EK Civic is in trouble. It is Armaz the window for James Allen, he is unfortunately out of it with 5.5 minutes to go. So sadly, his car is out of the race, and he's going to have to try and pull this off in a sensible position, otherwise it might well be covered yellows, or dare we even suggest a safety car. So hopefully he can keep that car out of the way, but that's a shame for James Allen. He made some great progress in the back of the grid, but just the problems he had from qualifying rearing their ugly head once more. You have to go back to the drawing board and get that fixed again for race number 2. So wait now for the rest of the order to come through. Still 5.3 seconds between Tommy Knight and Liam Collins and Will Self. And Collins is still holding off Collins in 3rd position. Just keeping on this battle here between the 2 EG Civics of Rick O'Connell in the kind of almost purple, the magenta coloured car, if you like, of Rick O'Connell. And you've got, oh, that's a sideways moment for O'Connell. He lost the back end. He went only through the exit of Park Corner, off into the barriers, it looks like. And fingers crossed he's okay. There is damage to the Class A EG Civic. Fingers crossed he's okay. That's the main concern. But off the road he went. He just lost it. Possibly put 2 wheels onto the grass on the exit, lost the back end, and off into the tyre stack there was on the inside of the run out of Park Corner. Of Coppice, Charlie's Corner, forgive me. So he's off the road now, I'm afraid. Looking further back, we've got Spencer Fortag battling away with the number 9 of the former karting race, Sammy Milam, with Kinetic Motorsport. That's Dave Bucky's outfit. Out in front, Will Self still leads the way. It still looks like, yeah, Knight versus Talbot in front for 2nd and 3rd position. Collins still 4th. Sorry, it's Collins in 3rd position. Talbot 4th. Barron still holding on to 5th place. And it's Thackeray in P6 as we watch still on screen. Fortag versus number 9 Kinetic car of Sammy Milam. Back with our scrap for 2nd. And Knight still holding firm, not allowing any millimetre of an opportunity for Collins to get through. He's absorbing this pressure pretty handily. Little clip of the inside white line for Collins, showing how much he's pushing. Again, quick checking with the classes still. Dan Thackeray leading the way in Class B from Ryan Cunningham in 2nd place, doing well in his first outing in Class B. The defending champion who won Class C last year and the overall title. Sam Linsner in 3rd, and Matthew Rowling still heading Class C ahead of Callum Houchin. Through the mountain section, pulling away a tiny bit on these twistier sections there for Tommy Knight. He's got created a small gap to Collins. He's lost a fraction of time to the blue EK Civic in front of him. They wind their way through the Hall Bends now. Just under 2.5 minutes to go on the clock, so they're going to get, I think, a couple more laps in, because they're lapping at around about the 135s, 136s. Will Self goes across the line. 2 more laps to play here at Cadwell Park in race 1 as the sun starts to beat through. And still going through, and that is Rick O'Connell, who has incredibly got going again. So thankfully, first of all, he's okay. The impact it had in the tyres is on the passenger side, but he's actually managed to get to refire the car up, and it's still drivable. So I think he'll come back into the pit lane, if not into the paddock. But fair play to Rick after taking a bit of a whack into the tyres. He's managed to refire it and get it going again. You might see as he's pulling off actually on the service road in between the back straight and the left-hander at Mansfield. So good positioning there from Rick, good driving. But thankfully, baseline as he appears to be on the surface okay after the impact. So Will Self then turning his way out through Chris Curve now for the 2nd to last time. And a bit of a moment on the opening lap here at the Gooseneck, but he negotiates it fairly smartly. And Will Self, he made that beeline at that statement that I'm going for the championship this year. Certainly all the preparation he's done, all the declarations he's made, they're all starting to come good. And one has to wonder, of course, if Phil Wright, if he can get his car's alternator fixed, and hopefully that car can be out of the mix. He might have to start from race 2 from the back of the grid, and so if he can pick his way through slightly James Allen style before his car expired, there's a chance he could do that. You can see how much on stream, the way he's throwing the car through the Hall Bends. He's not got this job done just yet. He wants to keep pushing all the way to the checkered flag. He's not satisfied with just keeping an open lead of several seconds. And he knows that he's been aided slightly by the fact that Liam Collins has been staring at the back of Tommy Knight's Civic for this whole 15 minutes. Across the line goes the race leader to start the last lap of race 1 of the season. Still battle for second, his nose to tail. And if Liam Collins wants to get past Tommy Knight, he's running out of time and running out of options and running out of corners. So as Will Self turns his way through, continues into the lead. Still 4th is Kevin Talbot in the green DC5. Bob Barron still 5th in his first circuit race. Good effort from him so far. And it should still be Dan Thackeray in P6 leading Class B from Ryan Cunningham in 7th overall, and then in 10th overall is the third place man in class, Sam Lintzner. But Will Self making a real statement here on this opening race, the opening day of the championship. And what he can do from race number 2, of course there'll be a partially reverse grid, so he'll have to work from wherever he is, possibly from positions 4 to 8 he might be starting. But nice and neat and tidy, uses all the road through Gooseneck down towards Mansfield. This will be a perfect start to the season for Will. Kick of the dust as he uses all the road on the approach to the mountain section. He's got a couple of back markers to negotiate. One is the 19 of Lewis Crassus Menu, and ahead of him I think he's 727, no it might be 77, which is Duncan Holloway in the Honor Motorsport car. But as Will Self winds his way through the Hall Bends for the final time, we shall see him take the checker flag in a moment's time. We'll keep an eye on the battle for second also in the background to see if that's changed at all. But Will Self made a declaration, I'm going for the championship, I'm going to try and do it from day number 1. He's making that true in race number 1. Will Self wins the first race of the season in the 2025 Racing Hondas Championship with a commanding performance. Now for second place, Tommy Knight comes through, but there's several seconds gap between him and Liam Collins. So whatever happened on the last lap of the race has seen Tommy Knight take second, Liam Collins take third. And it almost looks as though I thought for a second Liam Collins was going to pull the car off the road, but third place for Collins with several seconds gap. So whatever happened there between them on the final lap, we'll have to wait and see. Maybe if Charlie's brave enough, she can ask the question of both Tommy and Liam after that one. It's fourth place for Liam Talbot, and a very impressive debut performance, as I mentioned, for Bob Barron. His first ever circuit race to be P5 in class and overall. That's a real solid achievement. Dan Thackeray comes across the line to take the first Class B victory of the season, so congratulations to Dan. It'll be 7th place for James Alford and his EK Civic. 8th place goes to Ryan Cunningham on his Class B debut, the defending champion. So excellent performance from Ryan to take a top 10, and then it'll be Fraser McNeil on his debut in the championship, taking a P9, so a double top 10 for both the Kilty K-Swaps Honda Civics. They'll be happy how they made the trip from Scotland. Sam Lintzner takes the final Class B podium finish. And it's the 66 of James Kembry coming across to give a solid 11th place for Honor Motorsport on their debut in the championship. Sammy Milam takes 12th, and Spencer Fortag 13th. Trevor McConnell, Adam Kruger takes 15th place. He's the other single round entry. And a bit of a disappointing run for Oliver Barsby, who I expected to be a little bit higher up, but maybe he's having some troubles or some problems with that number 10 machine, the FK8 Civic. I did anticipate that to be a bit higher up the order, but maybe he's having some teething troubles with 1 or 2 of the upgrades and not quite running as it should be. And a class-winning Class C goes to Matthew Rowling, so the M&D Racing EP3 Civic takes the win in the class, and that's ahead of Callum Houchin, who has also taken the flag also. So plenty of entertainment, plenty of stories, plenty of talking points that hopefully Charlie will be able to get her teeth into for race number 1. But here's the result then. So it's a victory in the first round of the season for Will Self in the Watson Gym Equipment Honda Civic EG. He wins by almost 10 seconds from Tommy Knight in second place, who, whatever happened on the last lap, separated the 2 cars by a few seconds. But Knight takes second, Liam Collins takes third, but it's Kevin Talbot fourth in the KC Imports in DC5 Integra. And Bob Barron, again, we keep saying it, but again, kudos to him on his first ever circuit race, taking a top 5 overall and class finish. Really good effort from Bob. Second 6 goes to the Class B winner, Dan Thackeray from James Alford, and second in Class B, the defending champion Ryan Cunningham. Then Fraser McNeil on his debut in the championship takes 9th, and Sam Lintzner rounds out the Class B podium in 10th. Then it's James Kembry, Sammy Milam, Spencer Fortag, and Trevor McConnell to round up the top 14. Then followed by Adam Kruger in 15th position, 16th for Oliver Barsby. He'll be slightly disappointed with that. Class C winner Matt Rowling takes 17th place overall for Harry Greenhill, Lewis Barker, and Jackson White in the top 20. Then Luke Crassus Menu, Duncan Holloway, Callum Houchin in Class C, and then Rick O'Connell we saw go off into the barriers and then retire on the slip road. James Allen also retiring with mechanical issues midway through the race after he'd been such a good performance, passing more than half the field, having started at the back of the field.